It's a bleak location, especially in deepest winter when we visited. The island of Lindholm, 4 kilometers off the southern coast of Denmark, is a symbol of the current attitude to refugees and asylum seekers here. This former research centre for infectious diseases is where the government wants to place asylum seekers who've been convicted of a crime but can't be sent home. Despite a liberal reputation politically, Denmark now has some of the most aggressive anti-immigrant policies in Europe. A new refugee and asylum bill passed in February by the then centre-right coalition government of Lars Løkke Rasmussen was called a paradigm shift. It moved focus away from integration of asylum seekers to the possible repatriation of people seeking refuge in Denmark. It could also affect those who are already here. Dejani Daba arrived 4 years ago from Ethiopia. Studying for a computing degree, he's now married and has a daughter. But he knows at any stage he could be deported.
Every day they are changing so many rules, which is almost impossible for asylum seekers. It's difficult to expect really something good. But anyways, I have to be here because I have also family. So there is something really I'm worried about, to leave my family so yeah, I have a big fear.
For those who work with migrants and refugees on a daily basis, helping them to assimilate, these are difficult times. The climate for asylum seekers is one of fear.
Whenever you are searching a job, you have to go to the municipality and to the job center. And the job center, they have to tell you, have you thought about going home? I mean, there's no reason you should stay here anymore. You should, so they're constantly forcing the caseworkers to use language that makes people feel unwelcome.
It's not difficult to see why this country is often voted by the United Nations as one of the best places in the world to live. Less so if you are an asylum seeker. The Social Democrats won last week's election here in Denmark, but they were taking policies on immigration from the far right. It does seem in this country that anti-immigration rhetoric has become normalised.
The last government, led by Rasmussen, needed to be propped up by the right-wing Danish People's Party after the 2015 election. Its influence soon became clear, especially with regards to immigration. When the plan for Lindholm Island was announced, the party put out a tweet with the words, "Expelled criminal aliens have nothing to do with Denmark." But it wasn't the only one offering support to the government. The winner of the election last week was the Social Democrats. Their leader and expected next Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen supported this and other hardline measures against asylum seekers. They had policies on welfare and the environment that were in keeping with the party's history, but not on immigration. The change seemed to strike a chord with the voters. Four years ago, the Social Democrats lost power and lost support that went to the parties of the right. A defeat that was avenged last week. It also made Frederiksen the face of a new breed of centre-left politicians.
Vi har skabt i fællesskab et håb om, at vi kan forandre Danmark, at vi kan forbedre Danmark. Det en historisk stor sejr.
The election appeared to be generally welcomed, but with reservations.
I'm happy, but also a bit in a dilemma, because I want a new direction for Denmark, especially concerning refugees and immigrants and how we welcome them to our countries and make sure that Denmark is an open society for everybody.
In much the same way that environmental policies are now expressed by all parties, so are concerns about refugees. There is a sense that politicians on this issue are playing catch-up.
This is a topic where there's generally been, I think it's fair to say, more of a divide between the general public, the voters, and the parties in general, at least the right-wing parties have been more in sync with voters in general. It turns out that actually voters are very divided on this issue, but I think it's sort of a commonsensical understanding that the right-wing parties have catered more to voters on this issue.
The Social Democrats' policy of staying tough on immigration, while being true to their traditional beliefs elsewhere, could be a model for the centre-left across Europe. It may be unpalatable to many, but Denmark may have shown an effective way that far-right parties can be defeated at the ballot box. Francis Collings, The Newsmakers.